Hi guys, welcome to our YouTube channel Maxi Service. And dear viewers, in the last session we have discussed in detail about Azure certifications, fundamental, associate, expert, apart from specialty. Today we start with our first certification in detail, Azure Fundamental AZ-900. This certification is a common starting point in a journey towards a career in Azure. Are you new to the cloud? Oh, you are on the right channel. Actually, Microsoft Azure Fundamental is a three-part series. Today, we will cover cloud concepts only, with hands-on exercise to deploy your first service for free. We will complete all of the learning paths in this series. If you are preparing for exam AZ-900, I mean Microsoft Azure Fundamentals. So let me describe you cloud concept today. Prerequisites are basic familiarity with IT terms and concepts, mean basic information about information technology and computer science. And learning objectives are actually upon completion of this module, you will be able to define cloud computing, number one. Number two, describe the shared responsibility model as well. Number three, define cloud models including public, private, and hybrid. Number four, identify appropriate use cases for each cloud model. Number five, describe the consumption based model. And number six is compare cloud pricing model. Okay, cloud computing. Cloud computing is the delivery of computer services over the internet, right? These include actually common IT infrastructure such as Azure VM, Azure storage, Azure databases, and Azure networking. Cloud services also expand the traditional IT offerings to include things like um, Internet of Things, okay, Azure machine learning, and Azure AI. Let's see cloud computing in action.
What is cloud computing? Just like when you shop for your own computer, cloud computing lets you choose the power and features you need to run your software. The difference is, with cloud computing, the PC is in a cloud provider's data center instead of physically with you. This lets you pay for only the services you use. Plus, someone else gets to manage the upkeep of the computer. Each cloud provider will have their own selection of services to choose from, but the basic services provided by all cloud providers are compute power and storage. Compute power is how much processing your computer can do. For example, when buying a home computer, you may choose a computer with 8 GB of RAM and the latest processor to run the software you need today. But as the load on the computer grows, you find that it slows down. With cloud computing, you can add and remove compute power as you need it. This saves on costs, since you only pay for the resources you use. Storage is the volume of data you can store on your computer. A traditional computer has limited hard drive space. Over time, you may have to run out and buy another hard drive to store more data. With cloud computing, you can request more storage as you need it. Cloud providers manage the upkeep of the computer, so you don't have to. They will make sure that there are backups, that the operating system is up to date, as well as making sure that everything is up and running 24 hours a day. So as your business grows and your computing needs change, you can quickly bring on new computing resources in a cost-effective way.
Okay, guys, we have watched the difference of cloud. So, computing, we don't need to purchase any machine, hard drive, RAM, and we can increase and decrease it on the basis of our requirements. Also, same for databases and other things like internet and other resources and tools on the cloud. Okay, the second is shared responsibility model. In this diagram, we highlights how the shared responsibility model informs who is responsible for what depending on cloud services type, right? Uh, you may have heard about the shared responsibility model, but you may not understand what it means and how it impacts on the cloud computing. Start with traditional corporate data center, the company responsible for maintaining the physical space, ensuring security, and maintaining or replacing servers if anything happens. The IT department is responsible for maintaining all the infrastructure and software needed to keep the data center up and running as well. They are also likely to be responsible for keeping all systems patched and on the correct version. This is very big responsibility if we do all of this on premises. With the shared responsibility model, the responsibility gets shared between the cloud provider and consumer. Physical security, power, cooling, and network connectivity are the responsibility of the cloud provider. That's great. The consumer is not co-located with the data center, so it would not make sense for consumer to have any of those responsibility. Very good, awesome. At the same time, consumer is responsible for data and information stored in the cloud. You would not want the cloud provider to be able to read your information. The consumer is also responsible for access security, meaning you only give access to those who need it. Then, for some things, the responsibility depends on the situation. If you are using a cloud SQL database, the cloud provider would be responsible for maintaining the actual database. However, you are still responsible for the data that gets ingested into the database. If you deployed a virtual machine and installed an SQL database on it, you had you had be responsible for database patches and updates, as well as maintaining the data and information stored in the database. With on-premises data center, you are responsible for everything. With cloud computing, those responsibilities shift. The shared responsibility model is heavily tied into the cloud service types. We will cover later in this learning path. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Infrastructure as a service, you can see in the diagram, places the most responsibility on the consumer, with the cloud provider being responsible for the basics of physical security, power, and connectivity. On the other end of the spectrum, software as a service places most of the responsibility with the cloud provider. So, platform as a service being a middle ground between infrastructure as a service and software as a service. We can say IaaS and SaaS. Rest somewhere in the middle of in the middle and evenly distributes responsibility between the cloud provider and the consumer. When using a cloud provider, you will always be responsible for the below: the information and data stored in the cloud, number one; devices that are allowed to connect to your cloud, like cell phones, computers, and third is accounts and identities of the people, services, and devices within your organization. Cloud provider is always responsible for like physical data center. I mean where resources should be hosted, physical network, all the alignment and connectivity between the resources and the components on the cloud, even those are public or private, and physical host like virtual machine and storage devices. Okay, your service model will determine responsibility for things like operating systems. Okay, you have to consider which kind of operating system you want from cloud. Network controls, which kind of network controls your network security and group security, uh, authentication mechanism. It's up to you. It's up to you and your requirements. That will be model your required infrastructure. And also applications, which kind of application you want to host as well. Okay, guys, as we are working on our first certification, Azure Fundamentals, AZ-900. We have covered define cloud computing, describe the shared responsibility model for today. And tomorrow we'll be working on rest of the points like define cloud models, including private, public, and hybrid, and identity appropriate use cases for each cloud model. We will also try to cover the rest of as well, like consumption based model and pricing model. Azure certification are a way to demonstrate and validate your knowledge of specialized cloud roles. Despite this, there are numerous Azure certification available. Uh, and you may be unsure which certification is the best fit for your needs. As a result, we are on this channel to covering everything about the Azure certification learning path that you need to know in order to choose the best certification for your needs. So please stay with us and keep commenting. Don't forget to like and share in your circle. And also, please subscribe if you have not. Thank you. See you tomorrow.